It's a time for more packages from China. Let's go.
But let's power it on. There is not an on-off switch, so when we're going to be powering on, actually like putting in the power supply, or you're going to be plugging it in your television, the stick will automatically boot up. So there's also a little bit of a downside to these things, but let's plug it in. And I see the LED on the monitor is starting up. And let's see if something is going to be happening now. There we go. With the Special Gamers logo, 4K Ultra HD game stick. There we go, loading up the menu. First of all, I really hate those intros. I just skipped it with, let's say, recording. So the menu, we have seen it many times before now, so there seems to be they're using all the same emulation version. So what is downside to this? Pressing start doesn't do anything. Select start will give you the emulation station settings. So let's see which button I need to press today. So video mode has been set to 720p. Always show boot video. We can turn it off. Reset input configuration, and there is an unlock settings, but there is nothing of a code going on. I don't know how you're going to be unlocking that. Controller settings, that is an option not every game stick will have, so this means you can set it to a certain joystick. You can configure all of the controls you're going to be putting, and yeah, if you're going to be using Bluetooth, it seems to be that there is an option for this, but is it going to be compatible with every controller is a debatable situation. Configure a new controller, so if you're going to be plugging in a different controller that has support with this dongle or emulation, you can just configure there and put it in a certain player one. So there was very limited with this locked system, but we can still play a lot of stuff, or like play, but also configure a couple of things. Not the emulators itself, so that is quite unfortunate. So we do have a lot of stuff, and we do have overall, let's say, same configuration with the chipset. So there is no extra option in here. We do have BIOS setting that we can mess with. The advanced system options. We can mess around with the shaders, advanced game options. Here we can like put some, let's say, shaders. So that is interesting. One key back BIOS, one key repack. So it's kind of interesting to see. So we can mess around with the BIOS settings, pressing select to start. But let's see what happens if you go into the Game Boy. Let's say the Game Boy. Let's do that. That's the same situation. So we can switch different, I'm thinking this is different emulator. So we do have some minor adjustment that is possible if something doesn't work. So here I have like the CRT, so that's kind of cool. Scan lines and all kinds of cool stuff that is implemented. Okay. So we do have some options with this particular model when it comes to, let's say, setting some stuff up. And that can be a cool option if you want to get rid of some craziness or filters whatsoever. But let's get into some gaming. Let's start off with some Art of Fighting. And when it comes to this, we can mess around with the settings if you want to. Okay, and then one other thing I wanted to check out. So if you're going to be getting into the game itself, you can press select and start. And we're having the option to make a quick load, quick save. Because it's actually just running through RetroArch itself. But how about the overall emulation performance? That is something I really want to check out. We started off with some Neo Geo and Art of Fighting 3 because this is a really demanding system, or at least they love to mess this part up. Also a great way to check out the D-pad. So we can get some moves out. However, you nearly need to press very hard on the D-pad to get actually something going on. So, but the emulation performance seems to be working fine. So if you want to quit, you can just close the content over here. And it will go back to the main menu. It's not the fancy stuff that we've seen before within menu, but what is interesting, if you're looking into, let's say, the devices that we have over here, I find it interesting to see that we can actually just mess around with some options. With some of these sticks have the same interface, same menu, but has completely lockout. But let's get in some Sega 22X. Sega CD. Brain fart. But when it comes to the 8-bit, 16-bit stuff, there are so many games out there that can be played without any problem on a game stick like this. I'm just such flabbergasted by how cheap these things have become, but also how good some of them are. So when it comes to this KA one, I can remember I mentioned before that I paid under $20. And we do have some overall great performance. However, you should like back up the SD card and maybe reflash it to another 64 one to have like not a problem that the SD card gets corrupted and the stick becomes worthless. I've been reading through the comments. Some people have like a couple of these sticks and all have the same problem. And I would not be surprised that they're not going to be fixing that anytime soon when it comes to that. But emulation performance, it's just great. But it is really interesting to see how far we can push these sticks now. So we do have the option to boot up Sega Dreamcast and have some okay performance. I want to say that this is a really demanding game, so if this has a little bit of a struggle, you can always get a different game maybe that runs so much better. But so far, it is a playable situation. I do see that it drops in frames per second. I can just see it in this game, but beside that, I'm really surprised how good it actually runs out of the box. See, there's most the moments where it's going to be struggling a little bit, but beside that, press select start, everything runs through RetroArch, so we're getting the same quick load and quick save menu like all the other emulators. So let's move on to some PlayStation Portable. So when it comes to this, it's going to be a hit or miss. Tekken 5 is not the most demanding game at this point, but I just wanted to check something out. They put it to 2x resolution. There is no way to set it back, so I've been looking into the game settings. Here you can see we can mess around with the frame skip if you want to. If you want a little bit better performance, but you can just actually see there is no way of setting the 2x to normal render resolution. So that's quite weird, where this looks absolutely great, but it's possible that it will struggle throughout the game. And particularly when it comes to, let's say, in God of War or some kind, again, those games are just awful. But out of the box, the Tekken game seems to be working just fine so far. But this is just have to do maybe because they are like doing a lot of tweaking with these things. So it seems to be that they have been messing around with it a lot. So getting an overall, let's say, quite good overall performance with this. Full screen have been implemented. Let's see, hardware transform, software scanning. Kijk, they're having the laser texture caching, speed up. So they implemented a lot of speed ups in combination with the 2x resolution, and that's kind of smart because it seems to be working okay. But the 2x resolution will give an overall better, let's say, look when it comes to the game itself. Particularly if you're going to be playing this on massive screens. This is just on 24 inch, but on a 40, oh boy. But I'm kind of surprised to see that they're messing with some frame skipping now with God of War. Of course, because this game is way more difficult to emulate on these cheaper game sticks. But they're putting on some effort to, decided to tweak it to see if it's going to be running okay. So let's get into the gameplay. But is he seeing the title screen within 15 frames per second? No, this is not going to be a great experience. Oh man, oh man, oh man. Another system that most of the time struggles is N64. So don't try to, let's say, play the more demanding games. Think about it in GoldenEye or, let's say, in Cruising the USA. But we're getting into some Cruising the World. That seems to be working just fine with some minor stutters here and there. It's fascinating to see that we can actually play some N64 where the joystick is really sensitive, making this game almost impossible to play. But beside that, no. But it's kind of cool to see that we can play some N64 in these game stakes now. Let's go with some old school PlayStation 1 and Die Hard trilogy. Yeah, there was no music, that's a common problem with these devices. However, the emulation of PlayStation on native resolution is just perfect now. These sticks are capable of running it without any problem, so that's kind of cool. And I think it's absolutely a blast to the past. So you have like you have just a stick for $19 or some kind that you can just play all kinds of PlayStation games. That's just nuts if you think about it. And the emulation performance, we don't have any problem. And the reason why they don't implement the audio files is just to save up space, because sometimes it takes up hundreds of megabytes. And of course, when it's 64 gigabyte card, if you have so many platforms, it's going to be impossible to add, like say, hundreds of games or maybe a dozen or two. So out of the box we do have a lot of widescreen shenanigans. But for gaming with some Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Classic, you know, 8-bit, 16-bit stuff, that is just perfect without any problems whatsoever. This is the reason why I wanted to focus mainly on the higher end stuff to see how far we can push it. But I'm surprised that they did a lot of effort, basically like messing with it. If they would put some little bit of cooling in this machine, or at least in this game stick, and a good SD card, we should have like an overall good performance and a stick that seems to maybe works for a couple of years. Because at this configuration, it's going to be a problem. First thing, let's lower the audio, because it's going to be super loud with Atomic Wave. Same shenanigans with, let's say, the previous game boxes and other stuff with the same chipsets. And this is that we're going to be having an okay performance or having a lot of craziness. But I did notice that they're doing a lot of great effort of, like, say, tweaking everything. And that's one of those interesting facts when you're looking at, let's say, some game box or game sticks, that most of them have like horrible emulation performance. Where now, seems to be working quite nice. I do hear in the audio part that we do have some struggles with frame dips. But let's go to the close content situation. Another thing we're going to be looking at is see how they configure it. So in the main menu, let's see what happens if we're going to be pressing this. BIOS settings, advanced settings. Shaders have been set to automatically. Let's see, shaders. No, there's nothing much we can actually see. Sometimes they have been messing with it, setting certain games all to the certain settings. So yeah. So the overall performance of Atomic Wave at this point for one single game we tested, that's the most more like the test bench, seems to be working just fine. So we can keep going testing, but the basic stuff will just run fine on this.